I'm going to show you 6 key techniques that you can use with your oil pastels to help you blend your work. I will show you all of the resources that I have used, and hopefully by the end of the tutorial you will find a technique that works best for you. So let's get on with the tutorial. So we're going to quickly talk about equipment. The brand of oil pastels that I'm using today is Pastels. I find them very good for blending, but obviously any brand will do. You may have a favourite brand. I am using Strathmore Bristol paper today because it's particularly smooth and I wanted a smooth effect. And I'm also going to be using solvent at one point in today's demonstration, and I'm actually going to be using pencil blend because I find it blends the oil pastels really well, but you can use a paint solvent or you can even use linseed oil. So let's get on with the tutorial. So the first technique we're going to talk about is the basic technique of blending or layering. So I'm going to start by selecting my colours, and I always start by layering the darkest colour first so that I can put an underlayer of the darker colour, and then I blend the lightest colour on top, and that blends that colour and mixes it with the heat of you drawing your oil pastel across. So I start by now taking the pressure off. You've got a lighter layer of the red. I'm then going to put the orange on top and see how that mixes in and blends that orange to make an orange red mix. And then as I go down, I'm going to slightly take my pressure off again, and you'll see that there are now gaps, but that's fine because then when I put the yellow on top, that will blend in. And then I'm going to take the yellow and stop from the bottom because I don't want to make that yellow colour tarnished or dirty. I want to drag that up and then blend in to create a yellow-orange mix. And see there now, it's now blended and smooth. And if you had any gaps, you could go over and just shade those in afterwards. So now I'm going to use a technique that I sometimes use when I'm burnishing with pencils, and it works really well with oil pastels also, and that is making small circular marks between each of the colours or tones. So I'm going to start again with the darkest colour, making a slight variation in the pressure, then add the next lighter colour, and then what I will do once I start going between the colours is you can see I'm making tiny little circular marks, and then that starts to blend the colours together. When I finish with this, what I will do is I will take a cotton bud, or what's sometimes known as a Q-tip, and I will slightly go over the marks. If you press too hard with the cotton bud, what will happen is it will lift off the oil pastel. So don't press too hard, only graze over the surface very lightly. I'm going to blend the colours using the pressure from a rag in between each of the colours. So again, I'm going to start by layering my darkest colour and taking the pressure off in between the next lightest colour. And then what I will do, as I did before, is differently. What I will do is rely on the rag to draw the colour across, but always start with the lightest colour. So now you can see that the colour from the white is starting to transfer up towards the light blue, and then the light blue is starting to transfer over to the dark blue. So this next technique is a really good technique for blending. However, you are left with cleaning the blending stump afterwards. For those of you that haven't used a blending stump before, it's a really good resource for blending a variety of media, including colour pencils, graphite pencils, charcoal, so they are a really good tool to have. If you don't know where to get them from, please click in the descriptions below and you'll find where you can get them from. Now, as I said, this is a good method to use for blending oil pastels. However, you would have to clean it afterwards. You might want to use some cleaning fluid, or you could sand it down with a little bit of light sandpaper, but you will find that the colour will come out afterwards. So this probably would not be my favoured method, but it does work and it does blend it really well. This next method here, I have to confess, my camera turned off halfway through and I didn't want to get oil pastel all over my camera, so what I've had to do is show you the method at the end. Again, this isn't one of my favoured methods. I don't think it works particularly well. I know some people do like using this method, but firstly, I don't think it blends particularly well, and also your fingers get really messy. So I will show you the results, but I don't think the blending works particularly well with using your fingers. I know some people really like to use blending with fingers, but I'm not a fan. In this last section, I will be using solvent, and this is by a company called Zestit. It's a pencil blend, so you can use it for coloured pencils as well as for oil pastels, and it's a really good way to blend your oil pastels. You can also use linseed oil or any other paint solvents. The reason I like this particular pencil blend is because the fumes are quite low. So let's get into the blending method. I am going to blend the oil pastels in the same way that I have previously. So I'm going to start off dark, take the pressure off, then overlap with the mid-tone to try and drag some of that darkness in, and then go back, take the pressure off. And I've decided to use a skin tone one here because I think this would be quite a good way to show you how to blend with skin tones and try and get a smooth effect. Now, when I used the pencil blend on here, I had to apply one layer, and I do this sometimes when I'm using pencil blend with coloured pencils. Very often, because you can see the brush marks in your pencil blend once you've added it, because it turns into a liquid, sometimes you'll find that you have to wait for it to dry and then add a second layer. So I added my pencil blend and then I waited for it to dry, and then I came back and added a second layer. So you will see at the end what the finished result was. If you enjoyed this clip, then make sure you check out more tutorials on the channel, including how to use watercolour pencils and how to use watercolours. Don't forget to look in the description below for details of products used in today's clip, and if you have any ideas for content or questions, leave a comment below. Finally, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of future content.